Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy, for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Ted, hanging out with
Dave.
And we're gonna jump back into our nice happy Legends of the Sword Coast, or Sword Coast Adventurings guide, if you will. And today we're gonna talk about classes, everything from barbarians to bladesingers.
So I don't know how many classes we got in this game, like 12,
12-ish.
and I feel like they gave us archetypes for like 10ish.
Just about all of them.
Well, we didn't get it for Bard.
Right.
We didn't get it for Druid.
Okay. Did we get for Fighter?
We did. I think we did.
Yes. Yep. Purple Dragon Knight.
Yeah. So there's a ton of them, and they did something different with the archetypes that they haven't done yet. 2 of them are race specific.
Yes.
Battle Rage or Bladesinger.
Yep. And it's for those of us who have been around the block for a while or happen to read particular authors, it's really good to see some of that stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, how do you do? They're right on the money with this one. How do you do Forgotten Realms and not add the Battle Rager Barbarian Primal Path, which is
where it would have to be.
Yeah. That's where it started.
Yeah. So the Path of the Battle Rager is dwarf specific. They put in spiked armor, and in a conversation we were having off camera, we pointed out that, okay, well, technically you can put on the spiked armor and just choose to use your con mod and dex mod for your armor class if that happens to be better, so that you can still use the spiked armor abilities of your class and choose to take the better better of the two, because realistically you can't say putting on armor makes you easier to do damage. It's not gonna fly. I will not accept that argument from any one player or DM alike. It doesn't make sense.
Right. Well, the way it's worded, it's either or anyway.
Right. Well,
you have to pick one.
But some people are going to be stupid. It's like, well, you put on the armor, so therefore you're clearly using the armor use. Like, no.
Well, with that being said, too, like when you're with the spiked armor, and which again, so another little side thing is you actually get another piece of equipment. Anybody could technically wear this.
Right.
That's proficient with medium armor, but here's the thing too. I totally lost my train of thought. I'm like, here's this thing about it gives you a 14 armor class,
right?
So in order for you to have a better armor class from your barbarian ability, you have to have at least you have to have a 20 con.
If you have to net a plus 7. So between dex and con.
Yeah.
So if you do...
Well, if you're a really dexy barbarian, but even still, you using the standard array or the point buy, you don't have.
Well, yes, but late game, starting game, you totally can let this happen, and it's going to be hard to do that, but you can build beyond this,
but then there's the magic armor factor. Which could also, so it's kind of like like a moot thing. It is, I mean, it makes sense for this path, but it's a little weird in the sense that it really does steps on the toes of the main barbarian trait.
Right.
It's a bit, unarmored defense is huge for the barbarian, and this totally negates it. And introduces something kind of cool, and you're kind of replacing defense with offense.
Right.
But it's just worth noting.
Right. So you get the restriction of dwarves only. You get the Battle Rager armor. You can use your bonus action each round to attack with the spikes. You get the ability to attack recklessly, gaining temporary hit points equal to your Constitution mod. They vanish when your rage ends. 10th level, you get to be able to use a dash action as a bonus action while you're raging, which means if you're dashing, you're not attacking with your armor. And then you get spiked retribution at 14th level. When a creature within 5 feet of you hits you with a melee attack, they take 3 points of piercing damage. If you're raging, aren't incapacitated, and are wearing spiked armor. So,
this build is really about adding ways to damage and move around the battlefield.
Right.
Which makes sense because, if you are a
dwarf, you need help moving around the battlefield.
You do, but I was thinking more along the lines if you've like actually read the books that the
Yes.
Battle Ranger was introduced in.
Double Dwarf.
Yeah, it's kind of what he does is lowers his head and charges things.
So I'm looking for the spiked helmet as well. That D8 piercing spike.
Well, I don't know that it has to be a D8.
Well,
I mean,
D8, D6, whatever have you.
it could be a D4. You could just say it's part of the armor. Like it's just a flavor.
Nah, that thing is huge.
Yeah, but it's a bonus action. Like for a
well,
bonus
no,
action,
I mean like
attack.
I mean like
You want the weapon.
I want the weapon that he can use to attack it with his helmet.
The martial weapon. Well, yeah, you could just make it. I could definitely see a D6 martial weapon.
D6 martial weapon. Okay.
Spiked helm, and then again, like if you go, and you know what this really works really well with, the grappling builds we've discussed in previous videos.
Yeah.
Like because these guys can just do damage by grappling, and it's totally the Battle Ranger thing to do. They jump on their opponent and just kind of wiggle.
Right.
And so we also get some more
some new totems.
We
got elk and tiger. And they give you some options of like, oh, well, if you want to use lion, raven, bear, bear is bear, the great worm, a griffin.
Well, these also kind of coincide with like barbarian tribes and Forgotten Realms.
Right.
So, so they tied in the flavor. You have some new options there. Bard, we don't really get anything.
You don't get it in class, but it's like, here's some new musical instruments. And
then they talk about different like bardage colleges and orders,
right?
That are in Forgotten Realms to tie the bard more deeply to the campaign setting.
I got into clerics, and the first thing is Arcana domain, which totally in your game I'm playing a magey cleric, so I was like, well, how is this going to compare to the knowledge domain? And looking at this, there's a couple things that I really like. There'd be stuff that's like, well, I wouldn't have, I would have been torn of which one to go. Having already started the game, I would not want to make the switch to this. But it's like, oh, well, I could have said, well, let me forget about taking Magic Initiate. Let me just take Ritualist, at first level. I'd get access to the cantrips that I would already have, but I'd wind up losing the expertise on History and Arcana, which I totally feel is like the major point of my character. But there's a lot of really cool stuff in...
Yeah, it's a really cool this domain is about this is you're a practitioner or a follower of a magic god with the Arcana, where the knowledge domain is really about knowledge and wisdom. So I feel like they do two different things. They do them well. There's crossover,
yes,
where you could go either or, but neither one really steps on the other's toes, and
I'd agree. You get detect magic and magic missile as a cleric spell at first level, and that's freaking huge in my opinion.
Yeah, all the bonus spells really are kind of like about enchanting or learning about magic.
You get into the arcane abjuration, so you've got the ability to turn elemental, fey, celestial, and fiend. Or when you use your regular stuff, or undead. So you've got all these options that you can do. 6th level, you can...
on that... Well, basically, though, with their channel divinity, the arcane abjuration, also, though, at the higher levels, they actually banish creatures back to their home plane, right, if they're from this...
As opposed to dusting, so...
Well, undead, yeah. But and it's for a time period, too. It's not like they're gone for good. It's like the duration,
right?
So it's not quite as good as banishment, but it's kind of cool where you can be like, all right, well, I can make these guys go away. When they come back, we can be somewhere else. We have 10 rounds to leave.
So Spellbreaker, you when you use a cleric spell to heal, you can basically lesser restoration. You can get rid of a spell that's affecting them, as long as you're using a spell that's equivalent. So hey, they're under the effect of a 3rd level spell. I use 3 die 8 worth of healing. and undo that spell. So that's
I mean, that's super helpful. Like against hold person, charm person, and if they're already damaged,
it's like, hey,
it's a nice.
It's a nice twofer.
It is, and at 6 levels, not
six
high.
6 level, especially with our game, that's something that most games are going to be able to get to that level. Hey, since you're doing damage to spells, doing damaging spells, getting your wisdom modifier to damage you deal with any cleric cantrip is cool. And since you've gotten 2 wizard cantrips essentially to damage your enemies, hey, add that wisdom modifier on top of it, because those wizard cantrips for you are a cleric spell.
Yeah, so that works out better, and I like it way better than hey, when you attack with a weapon, add this type of damage to that weapon. Like for some things it does work, but it seems like they shoehorned it on like every domain to the point of nausea. And they did not do it this time. They made it a different mechanic.
And the Arcane Mastery, 17th level, grab a 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th level wizard spell and add them to your domain spells. Incredible power. It's like any
wish.
any high level spells that you want, and they're just yours.
Yeah, they definitely with this domain really inject the magic into your cleric, and that's the real difference between playing the Arcana domain and the Knowledge one.
This you're playing that serious.
I worship a magic god,
cleric wizard hybrid versus the other one, which is really in pursuit of knowledge, and both of them can be equally fun, but they are very different characters.
Very much so.
Yeah, this guy, you're walking that line of I'm playing a cleric and a wizard at the same time. You're going to be using your wizard cleric spells to be doing damage to your enemies, and you're going to have less healing to go around. So that 6th level ability is not going to come into play as often, because you're not going to be that cleric who sits there after the battle's over saying, okay, let's put everybody back together. So it's definitely a different feel.
Different options. Moving on, the druids, we don't get a whole lot. They talk about different druid circles having to do with Forgotten Realms, as well as
there's a little
wells.
Quip. There's a little quip on harpers and druids, which is always a fun aspect of the world.
Yeah, and then they talk about Moonwells, and Dark Wells, which were from one of the book series. Moonshade. I forget the actual name of the trilogy.
The Moonshade?
Yeah. Is it what Moonshade is where it happened, but I don't know the actual.
Okay, there is a Moonshade trilogy.
Oh, then that's the name of it. But I literally read that when I was in high school, so we're going
back a couple years.
Yeah, 20 years or so. There's more than that.
More than that.
Ugh.
You just turned 40, man. Remember?
Oh my God! Don't make me kill you, Ted. Right on camera.
Dude, we celebrated your 40th birthday on camera. So so moving on to fighter, we got the Purple Dragon Knight, which is a very big thing in Forgotten Realms.
This is a very like, if you go back to 4th edition, very leadership type role.
Yes.
And they do a lot of buffing of the party with their abilities. So it's almost like a variation on the Battle Master, in my opinion. But where the Battle Master is, you're a skilled warrior. These guys are more like a skilled tactician and strategist with their abilities. And again, the purple Dragon Knight is very specific to Forgotten Realms.
So you're even though it doesn't require you to be like a noble background, it really does give you that that holier than thou kind of feel. You learn how to inspire others at 3rd level. When you use your second wind, you can choose up to 3 creatures within 60 feet that are allied with you. Each one gains hit points equal to your fighter level, provided the creature can see or hear you.
There's several abilities that are like that.
Yeah.
They're piggyback abilities where
So like inspiring surge. When you use your action surge, you give other people the ability to attack as well. So it's kind of like that. Okay, well, 3, 2, 1, everybody go.
Yeah.
So you can really lay on the attacks, which, as you say, is very, very tactical. At 15th level, when when you use your Indomitable feature because you failed a saving throw, you can give other people the ability to re-roll their save as well. So you can literally turn a combat around because, hey, everybody attack right now. Okay, they do this thing. Oh, we all failed a save. All right, re-roll. All right, look at that. We all passed. All right, let's move.
So it's interesting, but I'm not like super excited to play this one.
It has it has a certain appeal. I didn't read this and say, all right, well, this is my next character.
Yeah, definitely not. It's solid.
It's solid. It's really well built, and it has a lot of uses. I'm certain there's people out there who have read a lot of Forgotten Realms stuff who are like, all right, this is my bag. This is where I'm going next.
Then we have monks, which monks, there's a bit of the Forgotten Realms flavor and fluff stuff, but in addition to that, we actually get two different monistic, yeah, that's it, traditions.
So you get the Way of the Long Death and the Way of the Sun Soul. So you've got, it's like, hey, we're going to add two...
well, the second one is actually the laser beam monk, as I like to refer to it.
When you look at them, they sound like the antithesis of each other. The Long Death monks are the ones who totally just study undead, and it's like, oh, well, I'm going to kill something and I'm going to watch it die and I'm going to learn from this.
Well, it's not undead. They're not about undead. They're more about
it's death.
About death. The act of dying is
they
a natural.
They kill something. They kill something and they watch it die because they're curious about that actual process. In some of the books I've read, it's like, the monks will literally sit back and say, okay, well, I'm going to get as close to death as I can before I come out of this situation.
So where does it say they actually kill things? To me, it just says like they observe and watch things.
They
passing.
capture creatures and prepare elaborate experiments to capture, record, and understand the moments of their demise.
I missed that part.
They use their knowledge to guide the understanding of martial arts.
These guys are really fucked up. They absolutely do that.
They capture, kill, and experiment so they can watch it die. It says it right there.
It does say it right there. That's not nice at all, man.
No, like I said, these are not your goodly.
Yeah. So I had skimmed through and I totally missed that part. And was reading the mechanics and where it says they like to observe and see how things die. I'm like, that doesn't sound so bad.
It's sometimes very important to read the flavor text. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, maybe.
So when you reduce a creature to 0 hit points within 5 feet of you, you gain temporary hit points equal to your Wisdom modifier. You get basically a fear effect. When you reduce to 0 hit points, you can expend a Kai point to have 1 hit point instead, and you get to channel death energy. Nothing like causing 2d10 necrotic damage per Kai point.
The little things,
I
think they max out, right? They can only use like what 20 d10 or something.
Yeah.
Other than that, make your head explode.
20 d10 of necrotic damage.
Yeah. So these guys are definitely not nice. The touch of death, hour of reaping,
mastery of death.
touch of the long death.
So there's definitely some creepy vibe going on with these guys, but just because you go this route doesn't necessarily make you villain. You can definitely do this in a you can put a positive spin on this in your world, and it's like, okay, well, the people who are already sentenced to death are sent to these guys so that they can experiment and they hunt criminals.
Maybe, or you could go from the approach of, they actually observe death, they don't actually participate in making it happen necessarily.
Right.
Or maybe like in your kingdom, like these guys are the executioners, and they just, then they do make the death happen.
So, Way of the Sun Soul, as Dave says, these are your laser monks. At 3rd level, you get the ability to hurl sealing bolts of magical radiance. So you really do get to be, does it actually say radiant damage? Yes, the damage is radiant, and the damage die is D4.
It's based off your martial arts, essentially.
Yeah.
It's basically making your martial arts ranged
and radiant.
And radiant. And laser beams.
Yeah, and then just like your ability to spend a Kai point to get 2 extra attacks, you can do the same thing and get 2 extra ranged attacks. You get the ability to cast Burning Hands.
As a bonus action.
As a bonus action, which is always nice. You can create an orb of light that has devastating explosion.
Essentially a fireball.
Essentially a fireball. Fun stuff. And at 17th level, you become wreathed in a luminous aura. You shed bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light for an additional 30. You can extinguish or restore the light as a bonus action. If a creature hits you with a melee attack while the light shines, you can use your reaction to deal radiant damage to that creature. The radiant damage is 5 equal to 5 plus your wisdom mod. So nothing spectacular there. But, 5 plus your wisdom mod and radiant damage just because they hit you isn't bad.
Yeah, they're I believe, well, no, I was going to say, I believe, like, they're the only really ranged monk, but you do have the Way of the Elements that do, but again, because of the economy of Kai points and how expensive it is, you're kind of a lot more limited with that archetype, where this, like, you can be throwing radiant damage all the time, like, but at first I'm like, I don't know if I like this, would I want to play this or want it in my game, and not from a power standpoint, but from thematics. I'm like, because the way it's written, it just screams laser beams to me for some reason. But I'm like, but you could, like, Street Fighter and reflavor it a little bit, like, sonic booms and Haryukens.
Hadouken.
Maybe you could go that route, or maybe some Dragon Ball Z shit.
Well, you can't do Dragon Ball Z unless there's a verbal requirement of yelling, because they gotta shout.
Well, you can always just throw it in there.
Oh, okay.
I can make it work. And you got to do it for like 10 rounds for it to work. Like the start of the next combat, you finally like do it.
3 episodes later.
Yeah.
So moving on to Paladin, they touch on some of the different orders that are in there, and you get a new Sacred Oath of the Crown, which gives you a whole nother take on a typical Paladin. Law, loyalty, courage, and responsibility. Those are the things that you really care about. You get some cool spells. In one of our earlier videos, Ryan talked about, these guys getting the spell Compelled Duel, which, has some interesting implications if you wind up watching that video. You can issue a challenge by using your channel divinity. Each creature of your choice that you can see within 30 feet of you must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, they can't willingly move more than 30 feet away from you, so it's kind of cool. That is a nice mirror to the Compelled Duel.
Yeah, it totally ramps up the power of the Compelled Duel spell. But like, all of you will fight me.
Or at least you can't run. You got the... bonus action, you can bolster your allies, bolster injured creatures with your channel divinity. Each creature of your choice within 30 feet regains hit points equal to D6 plus your charisma modifier. So not bad. Another use for your channel divinity if you're not actually using it regularly.
There's a caveat too. They actually have to be pretty hurt. They have to be under half, yeah. So I mean, so that really does kind of like lower its usefulness,
right? But it's I like that they're continuing to put out new options for channel divinity.
That being said, these two options are better than some of the other ones.
I'll agree with that.
I think Oath of the Ancients, I think they get boned a little bit with their
I don't remember what
channel divinities. Well, one of them is like if they're 10 feet away from you, you can make them stay where they are.
I'm happy with the knowledge domain clerics where they can use their channel divinity just to gain proficiency with a skill or a tool.
Well, yeah, but they're not paladins.
That's true.
So
Divine Allegiance, you get when a creature within 5 feet takes damage, you can use your reaction to magically substitute your own health for that target creature. So it's like, hey, you got hurt. Never mind, I did instead.
Yeah.
And you can't reduce that damage in any way, shape, or form. So it's really cool and thematic. That specific ability is something that I feel is very, very Paladin, and because of that ability, I would choose this Paladin, because it's like, all right, hey, that's gonna drop that guy. Never mind, I take it instead.
It drops me instead.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's exactly what a Paladin would do. It's him or me. Let it be me.
Yeah, 15th level, advantage on saving throws to become paralyzed or stunned.
Adding an additional advantages to saving throws for paladins.
Insult to injury, it's a bit over.
It's not overkill. It's just I love it. It's like, yes, you just
I
will not. I will not be affected. It's like,
although I have dropped like double 3s or 4s before, so.
Well, yes. Well, that's you as a player. You have much better luck on the other side of the table. And an exalted champion, your presence on the battlefield is an inspiration to those dedicated to your cause. You can use your action to gain the following benefits for an hour. Resistance to non-magical weapons, advantage on death saving throws, or you can have advantage on wisdom saving throws to your allies within 30 feet. So it's really cool stuff. You just have to be standing for it to happen.
Well, one of the things though is like the resistance to non-magical weapons at 20th level.
Yeah,
I'm kind of like, how useful is that part of it for your big Uber ability? It's like
I agree. It's not fantastic, but given the iteration of the game, the continued usefulness of the lesser creatures throughout the game.
That's true. That's
you
true.
were using
the orc hordes.
You were using CR3s against a 15th level party and doing some serious damage.
That's true. So yeah, that it would have probably been useful there.
We don't get a new ranger build, although we do get yet another Drizzt picture.
Well, you can never have too many Drizzt pictures.
And let's face it, with all the unearthed arcana, do we really need more ranger builds?
Well, they really just keep trying to get it right.
Well, so then we move into rogue, and the mastermind is fan-freaking-tastic. Ryan, when he was playing, his character in my game, he's like, this is absolutely everything that he would want out of being a rogue. He's like, if I were to go back, this is 100% what he wants. And you really get the ability to just like, I can lie to anybody I want, and you can't make me.
The mastermind really is more about being, you're kind of like the criminal tactician, strategist. You're also like, it would make also a great spy type character.
Yes,
and it makes an awesome face character.
You can do either side of the coin. You can be like the cop who's infiltrating or investigating.
You can be Sherlock Holmes or Moriarty.
Yes, 100% yes on that, and it's just fantastic. Like I said, at 17th level, no matter what anyone does, you can tell any kind of lie.
You can be a liar, and your pants will never be on fire.
Indeed, it's like no one can compel you to cause the truth, even by magic. And no one can ever know whether you're lying or not. It's
like one of the really cool abilities is at third level they get to do the help action at range.
Yeah.
As a bonus action, right? That's freaking huge.
You have the ability to RP it however you want. Be it something as simple as, well, I just tossed a stone, or hey, left side, however you want to RP it. You've done something that gives your allies, an advantage, which is awesome because, you might be able to throw a D4 dagger with your bonus action, or you can give advantage to your adversary, or sorry, to your ally. What would you rather do? But you also get a third level proficiency with a toolkit and languages, and you can unerringly mimic the speech and patterns and accent of a creature you can hear speak for at least a minute.
Yeah, so it's essentially part of the actor
feat.
Yeah.
So it's like, Ryan's drooling over that. That's exactly what he wants for making these, other characters to go around and do something with. It's like, yeah, that really does fit.
That would have been useful a year ago.
9th level. You can spend a minute observing and interacting with another creature, and you get to learn stuff about them. There's another thing that has that kind of ability, but you can learn intelligence, wisdom, charisma, class levels, in relation to where you are. So it's like, well, let me study that guy and see whether I think we can take him. Ooh, he's got a bit too much confidence. You know what? I'm going to back off until I've got more friends.
Yes, so the Mastermind offers great options. There's interesting stuff you can do with that, both from the RP and the mechanics. From there, we also get another roguish archetype.
The Swashbuckler.
The
Now, was this in something else? Because I remember seeing...
It was in the Unearthed Arcana Mariner. It was the Mariner fighting style.
Okay.
And the Minotaur. So
okay, so there was the Seafarers thing.
Yes.
So, hopefully you guys have probably already seen all of that. But there's some cool abilities, here. I really dug the Swashbuckler from the previous thing, and it doesn't look like too much has changed.
Yeah, when I read through it, it looked to be about the same. Again, it's kind of with the same thing with the Deep Gnome. My only thing is that they're I guess no, I'm mistaken. Sorry, guys. The fact that this wasn't on Unearthed Arcana and now it's official,
right?
Where the Deep Gnome was technically official.
So moving on to another reprint, we got Storm Sorcerer, and the biggest change that we have here is they removed the bonus spells.
Yeah, that was a bit much because it really undermined all the other sorcerer origins.
Up until this particular book, the Storm Sorcerer was like the far cry above everything else.
Yes. Now this brings it back on par. Again, there's a little sidebar here about Arcane spellcasters and Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, that they basically, wizards, warlocks, and sorcerers, they're all generally referred to as spellcasters, and most people don't know that there's a difference or care that there's a difference, and
magic-y stuff.
They're gonna throw around the terms loosely, and only the learned really know that there's a difference.
So some of the cool things that they introduced is different patrons in the realms.
So getting back and going on to warlocks, they talk about the different patrons, and they give you specific examples. Oh, you want to do the Archfey? Well, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different options. You want to do fiends? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different options. Old one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different options. So you don't have to just say, well, I worship the Great Old One, or I serve the Great Old One. Well, I'm gonna serve Zargon, the Returner, also called the Invisible Tyrant. It said blah 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 blah. So you can get more information.
They put a face on it.
Yeah, they put a face on it. You've got stuff that you can do, and you and your GM can work things out to have a far more interactive and interesting game. Because I think if you're gonna play a warlock, your patron should come into it. It
should be a big deal.
Yeah, I don't think the idea of having a warlock and I've got these powers that I'm technically given by somebody else. It comes at a cost. It says that. So, but we get a new otherworldly patron, the Undying, and this guy. He kind of goes along well with that monk back here, because this guy, death holds no sway over your patron. So they'll be trying to study you, and you're like, well, why won't he die?
Although they're not really undead, right? It's not like an undeath god. It's more like it makes me think of the Undying Court from Eberron.
Yes, because they're really trying to not die. So you get the Spare the Dying cantrip, and you have advantage on saving throws against disease. And undead have a hard time actually hurting you, so that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So basically, one of their big abilities is if you're being attacked by the undead, they're more likely to attack someone else in your party.
Right.
So, which is okay. It's nothing great, but you get Spare the Dying as a cantrip. But any more spell casting is always cool.
Always. You get Defy Death. Starting at 6th level, you can give yourself Vitality when you cheat death or when you help someone else cheat it. You regain 1d8 plus your con mod when you succeed on a death saving throw or when you stabilize a creature with Spare the Dying. So, if you could literally say, you know what, I'm going to whore this system, and sorry for using that term, but we drop all the enemies. All right, I cast Spare the Dying on all of them, heal myself to full, and then go around and kill each one of them. So totally a. Oh, sorry, no. This only lets you use it once. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So it says you can only use this feature. Or once you use this feature, you can't use it again to finish a long rest. So yeah, it's great. You know, that's. I always like that when they
see you coming.
When they see you come. Well, you know, there's part of a power gamer in me. I'm not gonna. Gonna lie.
It does though, for like, you know, one casting a day make your spare the dying much more potent.
Yes, you know, D8 hit points. It's essentially a cure wounds for free.
Yes, it is.
So you get undying nature. You don't need to eat, breathe, or sleep.
What about poop? Do you need the poop?
Everybody poops. The book says so.
Oh, gotcha.
I imagine if you're not eating, you don't need to poop. But, you know, there's not...
And you age slower. So this is one of those, like, ribbon abilities they talk about. It's not really going to affect the game all that much.
Right. You know.
It's just kind of flavor.
And then when you reach 14th level, on your turn, you can use a bonus action to regain hit points. Additionally, if you sever a body part of yours, you can just hold it back in place and the part reattaches.
So, personally, I find this patron pack kind of weak. To be honest with you, I would not use this one.
Meaning you wouldn't choose to go down this path?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would not play this one. I think the other ones are way better.
It's definitely interesting. You know, I'm not super fond of the Fiend one. But as I said in the other video, the
positive energy
one. Positive energy one is totally where I would want to go. But as an option, I think this one definitely has some cool flavor, has some cool abilities, and I would play it just after I played the Radiant Soul one.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to skip this one. I think the abilities that the Warlock get are so important because some of the core mechanics of the Warlock are kind of weak, like their spell casting.
Yes, the Warlock class is built on the extras, not their spells, because their spell use is so low. So with these abilities not really having a lot of use, it makes them less useful.
I think this Warlock pack is far more interesting as an NPC in my game.
Okay.
Than someone I would want to, a character I would want
to. So like typically whenever you have a Warlock feature, you want it to reset after a short and long rest, not just a long.
No, it's not even. Well, that would actually be a little bit better, but just like I just find the mechanics on most of their abilities unexciting, and not particularly useful.
Well, I mean, the 6th level only being able to heal a D8 once a day does seem a bit weak. The Undying Nature doesn't have any mechanical benefit. So as you said, ribbon ability. You could definitely say that 2 powers back to back 6th and 10th level not being a huge supporter, maybe. But.
Yeah, either their 14th level ability much stronger, but again, you got to wait till 14th level to get it.
Right.
And you still short rest mechanic.
Right.
So Wizards. I'm excited about the Wizards in this book, though.
So as I said, Battle Ragers to Blade Singing. We'll finish it off with Blade Singing, and as we said with Battle Ragers, we have a race restriction. Blade Singing is elf only. And this one is totally geared for your martial mage. This is for your guy who's going to pull out that longsword that the elves all can use and seriously go toe to toe. And here we have the first time where you get an ability where the person can put on armor, get their dex mod, and a third thing, because they can blade sing and get their intelligence modifier, in addition to their armor class. So it's really a great thing. Blade singing you can do basically twice a day. You get your AC equals your intelligence. You get a bonus to your AC equal to your intelligence modifier.
Well, twice per short or long rest.
Oh, sorry, my apologies.
So theoretically, you could do this 4 times a day in most campaigns easily, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet, just so you can show up those dwarven battle ragers even more. You have advantage on Dex acrobatics checks, which is awesome and makes sense for a lot of things that Blade Singers are used to doing. You gain a bonus to any Constitution saving throw you make to maintain your concentration, which is awesome, and it's also based on your intelligence, so that's great.
So the Blade Singer screams Warcaster feat.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
They will go together nicely. You'll always pass your concentration checks.
Yeah, and similar to your College of Valor Bard, once you hit 6th level, you're getting that extra attack. So, as a non-martial class,
It's very martial.
it's well, yes, it's martial, but you have to wait that one extra level because you're not completely martial. Song of Defense, 10th level. If you're blade singing, you can take less damage because you're absorbing, the magic into your song essentially. And then at 14th level, you add your intelligence modifier to the damage of your melee weapons while your blade song is active. So it's like, oh, wait a second. So I'm gonna, use my finesse short sword, and I'll use
Rapier.
Oh, yeah, my apologies.
I would think it would be a rapier.
Right, rapier, because even though it's normally a long sword, the rapier is finesse and the long sword isn't. So I've got a rapier, and I'm getting my dex mod and my intelligence modifier to damage. Total sweet.
One of the things though, they talk about like the different blade singing styles in academies.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's ones where they could be axes, it could be a polearm. It doesn't actually have to just be a sword, or
right.
in this case. And I would definitely think it'd be cool to take the Blade Singer and basically use that as the framework or structure for creating similar wizard traditions of other races. I could definitely see like a dwarf version,
right?
That wielding axes or hammers or something along those lines.
Could definitely do that.
Yeah, which would be really cool.
And when you're breaking the Forgotten Realms thing, there's nothing to say that you couldn't say, well, hey, let's do this, because it actually does say in there that you can remove this restriction. That your DM can lift this, says elves only, that your DM can lift this restriction to better suit the campaign. The restriction reflects the story of Blade Singers in the Forgotten Realms, but it may not apply to your DM setting or your DM's version of the realms. Yeah. So, you want to play something else, it says it,
I could definitely see like a gnome version or a dwarven.
What about an orc?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could come up with anything. It gives you the framework, right? It's just a matter of reflavoring it to the specific race and making it work that way and making it more thematic to them.
Right.
But no, yeah, absolutely. I could definitely see orcs. I could see dwarves. I could see gnomes. All those really easy, just kind of fitting into it.
I've got this picture in my head of an orc chanter in the background, hammering on drums while a squad of orcs are swinging these huge axes around, closing the distance between them, or swinging, with narrow distance between them, and just this beautiful, vicious, arc, if you will.
Great axes and magic.
Yes.
For the win.
Yep.
Nice. So I think that concludes our classes, which that was a mouthful, very long video section of this book. And with that, guys, what do you think? Are you enjoying it? Do you like it? Let us know in the comments below while you're at it. Like, share, and subscribe.
While you're at, go ahead and check us out on nerdarchy.com and check out all the awesome stuff there. So until next time, stay nerdy.
Of them are race specific.
Yes.
Battle Rage or Blade Singer.
Yep. And it's for those of us who have been around the block for a while or happen to read particular authors, it's really good to see some of that stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, how do you do? They're right on the money with this one. How do you do Forgotten Realms and not add the Battle Rager Barbarian Primal Path, which is
where it would have to be.
Yeah, that's where it started.
Yeah, so the Path of the Battle Rager is dwarf specific. They put in spiked armor, and in a conversation we were having off camera, we pointed out that, okay, well, technically you can put on the spiked armor and just choose to use your con mod and dex mod for your armor class if that happens to be better, so that you can still use the spiked armor abilities of your class and choose to take the better,
Better of the two.
Because realistically, you can't say putting on armor makes you easier to do damage. It's not gonna fly. I will not accept that argument from any one player or DM alike. It doesn't make sense.
Right. Well, the way it's worded, it's either or anyway.
Right.
Well, you have to pick one.
But some people are going to be stupid. It's like, well, you put on the armor, so therefore you're clearly using the armor use. Like, no.
Well, with that being said, too, like when you're with the spiked armor, and which again, so another little side thing is you actually get another piece of equipment. Anybody could technically wear this.
Right.
That's proficient with medium armor, but here's the thing too. Like, I totally lost my train of thought. I'm like, here's this thing about it gives you a 14 armor class.
Right. Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds. I'm Ted, hanging out with
Dave.
And, we're going to jump back into our nice, happy Legends of the Sword Coast, or our Sword Coast Adventurings Guide, if you will. And today we're going to talk about classes, everything from Barbarians to Bladesingers.
So, I don't know, how many classes we got in this game? Like 12?
12-ish.
And, and I feel like they gave us archetypes for, 10-ish?
Just about all of them.
Well, we didn't get it for Bard.
Right.
We didn't get it for Druid.
Okay. Did we get for Fighter?
We did. I think we did.
Yes. Yep. Purple Dragon Knight.
Yeah. So there's a ton of them, and they did something different with the archetypes that they haven't done yet. Trait.
Right.
It's a bit, unarmored defense is huge for the barbarian, and this totally negates it. And introduced something kind of cool, and you're kind of replacing defense with offense.
Right.
But it's just worth noting.
Right. So you get the restriction of dwarves only. You get the battle rager armor. You can use your bonus action each round to attack with the spikes. You get the ability to attack recklessly, gaining temporary hit points equal to your Constitution mod. They vanish when your rage ends. 10th level, you get to be able to use a dash action as a bonus action while you're raging, which means if you're dashing, you're not attacking with your armor. And then you get spiked retribution at 14th level. When a creature within 5 feet of you hits you with a melee attack, they take 3 points of piercing damage. If you're raging, aren't incapacitated, and are wearing spiked armor.
So in order for you to have a better armor class from your barbarian ability, you have to have at least, you have to have a 20 con.
If you have to net a plus 7 to between dex and con.
Yeah.
So if you do,
if you're a really dexy barbarian, but even still, you using the standard array or the point buy, you don't have.
Well, yes, but late game, game, you totally can let this happen, and it's going to be hard to do that, but you can build beyond this,
but then there's the magic armor factor, which could also, so it's kind of like a mood thing. It is. I mean, it makes sense for this path, but it's a little weird in the sense that it really does steps on the toes of the main barbarian